Hey everyone, this is Sunny Justice with It's a Crime and Shame. Now, of course, before we get started, if you are not subscribed to this channel, please consider subscribing. Hit that notification bell for all the times that we drop a video or a live, and please give this video a like and a share. Now, in this video, we're going to be talking about the Titan, which is by OCEANGATE, and the owner of OCEANGATE is Stockton Rush. Now, sadly at this time, the 5 individuals that are on board the OCEANGATE Titan have still not been found or recovered. So they are in a panic rush, of course, to be able to locate this submersible. Now, unfortunately, Canada and the US don't ever go to the depths that the submersibles can go that are done by these companies like OCEANGATE. Hence why they are sending sonar down there, so hopefully they can hear possibly voices or a pounding so that they could hopefully locate them if they are underneath the water still. Regardless, prayers for these families. Again, please continue watching this video all the way to the end. It's packed full of a bunch of information, including the people that are on board, as well as the 7 ways that a submersible can come to the top of the water. So let's get into this video, you guys. And again, thank you for your time and watching this video with me.
We get to that point, some of our efforts are focused on finding the sub. What I will tell you is we have a group of our nation's best experts in the Unified Command, and if we get to that point, those experts will be looking at what the next course of action is.
How many hours of oxygen are left that you know of, that you can estimate right now on the submersible? And does it have to be approved or regulated?
Sure. So first of all, it's an estimate, right? Because we know from the data we were using as a starting point was 96 hours. We know at this point we're approximately about 41 hours.
41 hours left.
Yes.
And does it have to be approved or regulated? Does the submersible go through anything that you know of?
Yeah, I'm not sure of the exact technical piece of that. We know there's about 40 hours of breathable air left based on that initial report. Again, that was just the initial report based on 96 hours from when the vessel.
This is the Titan, a small submersible designed to plunge the ocean depths, 4,000 meters. Its current mission to explore the wreckage of the Titanic and take tourists with it.
It is not for the faint-hearted to do something like this, to get in that sub. It's very close quarters. You're in it for a long time. You're bolted in from the outside. There's no way out.
Colin Taylor made the same voyage last summer.
Titan is a go for a dive to the Titanic.
He was on the same submersible owned by U.S. company OCEANGATE Expeditions, now missing in the North Atlantic with 5 people on board.
I can't tell you, the fear I have for these people.
The Titanic wreck is 685 kilometers south of St. John's. The Polar Prince, the ship that launched the submersible, lost contact with it about an hour and 45 minutes after it began diving Sunday morning. The Titan set out with 96 hours of oxygen on board.
It is a remote area, and it is a challenge to conduct a search in that remote area.
The U.S. Coast Guard is leading the search. The Canadian Coast Guard is assisting. Both are scrambling more resources to the site, searching from above and working on searching from below.
Right now our capability is limited to sonar buoys and listening for sounds.
Taking a completely new approach to the sub design, and it's all run with this game controller and these touch screens.
That's OCEANGATE CEO Stockton Rush last summer. The company has been working to measure Titanic's erosion. It takes tourists along for about $250,000. There are reports British billionaire Hamish Harding is among those on board right now.
Wow.
Colin Taylor says his experience was unforgettable.
There was the bow of the Titanic. I mean, literally right there. And it was incredible.
He says OCEANGATE's crew is very capable, but that an experience like this is not without risk.
We are following breaking news. The Boston Coast Guard is operating a search and rescue mission for a missing submersible.
The sub was exploring the wreckage of the Titanic. The sub went missing in the Atlantic Ocean near Canada.
In a statement, OCEANGATE, the company responsible for the vessel and the expedition, says, quote, "We are exploring and mobilizing all options to bring the crew back safely. Our entire focus is on the crew members in the submersible and their families."
CBS News correspondent David Pogue joins us now. David has done extensive reporting on these types of submersibles, including a report for CBS Sunday Morning. David, thanks for joining us. It's eerie to watch your piece now and see you down in one of these submersibles. What is it like in there?
It's about the size of a minivan. It houses 5 people. So on that sub at this moment are the pilot, a scientist, and 3 paying passengers who have paid $250,000 each for the opportunity to get on that one-of-a-kind sub and go down 2.5 miles to see the Titanic.
Talk to us, David, about how this submersible is controlled and what are communication systems like on board? Because as we saw in your Sunday Morning piece, there was a point where communication was lost with the surface for something like 2.5 hours.
This is going to sound very janky to a lot of people, but a lot of this submersible is made of off-the-shelf improvised parts. For example, you control it with an Xbox game controller. Some of the ballast are these abandoned lead pipes from construction sites. And the way you ditch them is everybody gets to one side of the sub and they roll off a shelf.
Wow.
But the guy who built this sub and who runs the company, Stockton Rush, told me, yeah, that stuff's all kind of janky, but the important thing, like the capsule that contains the people and the air, that was co-designed with NASA and the University of Washington. The part that keeps you alive is rock solid. So what concerns me is this thing has 7 different ways of returning to the surface. It has different kinds of ballast it can let go. It has an inflatable air bladder. It has propellers. So why isn't it at the surface? There is no radio and no GPS that works underwater. So you really are on your own when you're in this thing. So why haven't they come to the surface? One possibility is they got snagged on something. And another possibility is that there was a leak, which is very unlikely. But if there is a leak, it was over quickly.
I was going to ask you what the issues that can happen on these types of expeditions, and also any idea what might be on board to help with survival, oxygen supply, anything that might keep this crew alive for some period of time, and what sort of time crunch are they under, do you think?
The sub is said to have 96 hours of oxygen, and that takes 3 forms. There are carbon dioxide scrubbers, exactly the same thing you would have in a spacecraft. Then there are these emergency scrubbers. They look like fly strips. They hang from the ceiling and convert CO2 to oxygen. And then if those get exhausted, there are actual scuba oxygen tanks under the floor panels that they can put on. So in all, that's 96 hours. There's a rudimentary toilet, which amounts to little more than a couple Ziploc bags. And of course, they all brought snacks. So there have been times, as you mentioned, last year, they got lost on the bottom for 3 hours during the expedition that I was on. I guess what really worries me is we know that they sometimes lose contact they don't know where they are, but they wouldn't call for the Coast Guard unless that had been going on for some time. So my guess is that this is yesterday's expedition and they've now been lost for 24 hours.
I, as a human, can't help but ask you how you're feeling, looking back, knowing you were on one of these and seeing what's happening now.
I stayed up all night the night before my dive. I've never done anything that could kill me before, and I was really, really scared. Then I had a conversation with Stockton Rush, the CEO, and he said, "You're worried about the wrong things. Like getting back to the surface, running out of air, those we got covered. The things you should be worried about are these really rare things like getting snagged in one of those abandoned fishing nets that are miles long. Seems really unlikely in the North Atlantic, or a leak, which is also really unlikely. So I don't know what to say. It sounds bad. If all 7 methods they have of coming to the surface aren't working, then what's going on? So I'm really worried.
It is really scary. We can only hope and think of everyone down there and their families and hope for rescue and recovery. David Pogue, thank you.
Hamish Harding, a British businessman and explorer, was among those aboard the submersible, according to Mark Butler, the managing director of Mr. Harding's company, Action Aviation. Mr. Harding, 58, who holds several Guinness World Records, including one for the longest time spent traversing the deepest part of the ocean on a single dive, wrote on his Facebook page on Saturday that he was proud to finally announce that he had joined OceanGate's mission on the sub going down to the Titanic. Mr. Harding is the chairman of Action Aviation, a sales and airs operation company based in Dubai. He had previously flown to space on a mission by Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin rocket company. Mr. Harding also took part in an effort to reintroduce cheetahs to India and holds a world record for the fastest circumnavigation of Earth via both the geographic poles by plane. In an Instagram post on Saturday with pictures of the submersible and of him signing a flag for the Titanic mission, he wrote that the group had sailed from St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada on Friday and was planning to start dive operations around 4 a.m. on Sunday. Despite that the winter being particularly hard in Newfoundland this year, a weather window had just opened up, he added. Another person on the submersible was Paul HenryNargeolet, a French maritime expert who had been on over 35 dives to the Titanic wreck site, is one of 5 people aboard the submersible that has been missing since Sunday, said Matthew Johan, an agent for Mr. Nargeolet. Mr. Nargeolet is the director of underwater research for RMS Titanic Inc., an American company that owns the salvage rights to the famous wreck and displays many of the artifacts in Titanic exhibitions. The company conducted 8 research and recovery expeditions between 1987 and 2010, according to its website, and Mr. Nargeolet had taken part in over 35 dives to the wreck site. The British businessman Shahzada Dawood, 48, and his son Suleiman, 19, are among those aboard the missing submersible, according to a statement from the Engro Corporation, of which Mr. Dawood is the vice chairman. Mr. Dawood is a scion of one of Pakistan's wealthiest families with a background in textiles and fertilizer manufacturing. Mr. Dawood and his son had embarked on a journey to visit the remnants of the Titanic when contact with the vessel was lost, the statement said, asking for prayers for their safe return and privacy for the family. Mr. Dawood is also on the board of trustees for the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence Institute. The organization said on its website that he was a resident of Britain and a father of 2 children. This is Stockton Rush. He is the CEO and founder of OceanGate. Stockton Rush was as well on board the OceanGate mission to the Titanic. So, OceanGate Inc. is a privately held U.S. company operating out of Everett, Washington, that provides crewed submersibles for industry research and exploration. The company was founded in 2009 by Stockton Rush. In 2021, OceanGate began taking paying customers to visit the Titanic shipwreck in its Titan submersible. In 2022, the cost of an OceanGate expedition to the Titanic shipwreck was $250,000 US per person. On June 18, 2023, contact with the Titan was lost during a mission to view the RMS Titanic. The OceanGate designed Cyclops 1 and Titan submersibles are launched and recovered from dry dock-like launch and recovery platform that can be carried out on a commercial vessel. Once the platform and submersible are placed in the water, the platform's flotation tanks are flooded and the submersible then lifts off for its underwater mission. Upon the submersible's return to the platform, the flotation tanks are pumped out and the platform can be recovered by the host vessel. This allows OceanGate to use vessels without human-rated cranes. The platform is approximately 35 feet long and 15 feet wide and can lift up to 2,000 pounds. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video with me. Again, prayers to the family of these people that are involved in the Titan submersible and that they are found alive, safe, and well. Please give this video a like and a share. Have a great day, and thanks again.